for you that came out of a memory. A memory that I had sufficiently repressed for most of my childhood and all of my adulthood up until very recently. I remembered this thing that happened to me when I was 6, going on 7 years old. My parents were freshly divorced, and I was heading to move out with my mom. And my mom and I moved into a 1-bedroom apartment, and my bedroom was her walk-in closet. And it was in New Jersey, so it sucked even more. Anyway, my mom, she had been a visual artist before the divorce, but she wasn't making quite enough money to raise me, so she went back to school. And in those first 2 years after the divorce, we lived in that apartment, and she went to school, and I went to a new school district. My mom, she was just working her tail off between raising me, going to work, going to school, and we were on every kind of program you could imagine. We were on welfare, we were on food stamps, we were on PSS. Christmas came to our door in 2 giant black plastic bags, and one was the tree, and my clothes were all also through a program, and it was the 90s, so they were all like clothes from the 80s, so I wore a lot of neon those first couple of years, which would actually be hip now, but back then it so was not. So I headed off to a new school, and I was really nervous about going to a new school because I never had to like make a new group of friends, and I'm sure there's a lot among us here who had to make a move when when you were at a tender age in middle school or even high school. It's hard, and the thing that I was sort of most mortified about was my mom. Not my mom. I wasn't mortified of her, but she one of the things she did to save money was once a week we'd count 5 plastic bags of 100 pennies each. She'd take the jar that was in my family's house when my parents were together. I guess she got that in the divorce settlement, but I don't actually know that. I'm just making that up. Anyway, we'd take that jar, we'd dump it out on the living room floor, and we'd count 5 plastic bags with 100 pennies each in them. And she sent me off to pay for my lunch to my new school this way. This is pretty much the worst version of the story I've ever told. It's like super ADD version, and I'm like coming at it from all angles. It's like a crystal. It's just a different approach. Don't worry about it. You get the point. I was going to a new school. I had a stupid bag of pennies in my hand. I was super embarrassed about it. And every time I got to the lunch line, I would ball it up into a little ball, and I would hide it in my fist. And I would just make it my mission to get through the lunch line and get to the lunch lady. And when I got to the lunch lady, I would find her hand. It would be resting on the register. And I would shove the bag of pennies into her hand. It was like a drug deal. I was like, just take the pennies. And every day the lunch lady would look down at me and give me a scowl. And I just prayed that she wouldn't call me out on it, but she did eventually. And one day she started to explain to me in a loud voice in front of all the other kids in line that there was a program I should join if I couldn't afford the lunch. I could get a little paper card, and that she had to spend extra time every week counting the drawer because of me. And I was so embarrassed. I burst into tears and I ran out of the lunchroom. And the school took notice of this entire event, and they pulled me out of lunch altogether. And they made me eat lunch for the rest of my year at that school with a counselor. And it was a program called Banana Splits for children from divorced homes. And I wasn't cool yet, but I knew like that was the lamest name for any club you could possibly build. I did not want to be a banana split. Furthermore, I was the only banana split in banana splits. It was just me and the counselor. And that happened in her office, which didn't have any windows. So I call this my window this year. I think it shaped who I am. And I had forgotten about the entire thing, the Pennies, the lunch lady, the banana splits. The entire memory was completely covered up until about a year ago. And I thought, geez, if ever there were an opportunity to write a song about evil lunch ladies, this is it. And I'm going to write that song. The first song that I've written about this experience is this one. I think it's about my mom. And I think it's about the fact that she used programs like welfare and like food stamps to get us through while she educated herself. And she came out of it a successful family therapist who now is a tax-paying citizen contributing back into the system that lifted her up to begin with. So I would just like to say this is my tiny little, you can't even call it political, can you? No, don't. It's personal. Stop that. Don't even go there. I hear you. I see you. Stop. Anyway, all I'm saying is that she's amazing, and it worked. They do always know. Such pure wisdom. I heard it was a myth when a baby bird falls out of the nest. It can't be touched by a human and be taken care of. Flocks, herds, and colonies, school for the fish and gaggle for geese. Where will I go when my tribe goes away? Mama says we'll be okay. Her classes at night, her work in the day. She will build us a future and hang our clothes out on the line. Ooh. She's counting 100 pennies in a Ziploc bag. 100 pennies and I won't feel bad. 100 pennies in a Ziploc bag. Take this change, it's the same, I'm not strange. Yeah, hey. They saw me sit alone, broken, that's what they call my home. So they sent me away with my milk and my tray. Ooh, yeah. The cafeteria is no place for teary eyes, and I ate lunch with a lady in an office down the hall. Ooh, yeah. I showed her 100 pennies in a Ziploc bag. Oh, 100 window I wandered and I willed. Do the stars care? Will my wish repair our home? Thank you, guys. So, this night is flying by and it's almost over, and oh my gosh, I didn't want it to, but it is. And it always ends every time.